Close your eyes and imagine this. A wooden ship trapped in a frozen ocean, slowly being crushed like a toy in the jaws of Antarctica. 28 men stranded, no rescue, no radio, no way home. And yet, not a single man died. This is the impossible survival story of the Endurance. You're watching The Last Breath, where survival stories come alive. It was 1914, the dawn of the First World War. But Ernest Shackleton, a determined explorer, had his eyes fixed on a different battlefield, the untouched heart of Antarctica. His dream? To cross the continent on foot. No one had ever done it before. He gathered 27 men, sailors, scientists, a photographer, even a stowaway who begged to join. They were ordinary men chasing an extraordinary adventure. Their ship, a sturdy wooden vessel, was proudly named the Endurance, after Shackleton's family motto, "By endurance we conquer." On August 8th, 1914, they sailed from England, full of hope, songs, and laughter. None of them imagined what awaited. By December, the Endurance pushed deep into the Weddell Sea. At first, it was breathtaking. Endless white landscapes, seals and penguins scattered on the ice. Spirits were high. Men played football on the deck, posed for photographs, and dreamed of glory. But Antarctica has a cruel way of reminding explorers who's in charge. By January 1915, the sea froze solid around them. The Endurance was locked tight, stuck like a fly in amber. The men tried everything, chopping, sawing, pushing the ship with poles, but the ice was unbreakable. Shackleton gave the order, "We wait." Days turned into weeks. The ship drifted, trapped in a giant sheet of moving ice. The crew turned the frozen deck into their new home. They trained sled dogs, played soccer on the ice, and celebrated holidays with makeshift feasts. But beneath the laughter was fear. The temperatures dropped to -40. Darkness swallowed the sun for months, and the ice groaned louder with every passing day, squeezing the ship like a vice. Shackleton kept morale high. He joined the games, told jokes, and reminded the men, "As long as we stick together, we survive." October 1915, the sound every sailor feared echoed across the ice. The Endurance shuddered as the ice cracked her hull. Wooden beams snapped like matchsticks. The ship was dying. The men rushed to save supplies, food, tents, sledges, the precious lifeboats. Then, helplessly, they watched their proud vessel sink beneath the ice. They were no longer explorers. They were castaways, stranded in one of the harshest places on Earth. For months, they camped on drifting ice floes. They built makeshift shelters, hunted seals and penguins, and melted snow for water. Their clothes froze stiff, their hands blistered, and the endless blizzards tested every ounce of strength. Yet Shackleton never let despair take over. He visited every tent, talked with every man, and made sure hope stayed alive. But the ice beneath them was breaking apart. It was no longer safe. Shackleton gave a new order to the boats. April 1916, 28 men climbed into 3 small lifeboats. For 7 brutal days, they battled freezing seas, monstrous waves, and icy winds. Many thought they wouldn't last another hour. But then, land appeared. A rocky, windswept place called Elephant Island. It wasn't paradise, but it was solid ground. For the first time in nearly 500 days, they stood on land again. They cheered, hugged, and cried. But joy quickly turned to reality. Elephant Island was far from any shipping routes. No one was coming. Shackleton faced a terrible decision. Stay on the island and slowly die, or gamble everything on one desperate journey. He chose the gamble. With 5 men, he set out in a 22-foot lifeboat named James Caird. Their mission: sail 800 miles across the deadliest seas to reach South Georgia Island, where whalers lived. For 16 days, they fought hurricanes, frostbite, and exhaustion. Their tiny boat was tossed like a toy in the roaring ocean. But somehow, miraculously, they made it. Even then, Shackleton didn't stop. He crossed mountains and glaciers on foot to reach the whaling station. When the men saw him, dirty and broken, but alive, they barely recognized him. And Shackleton's first words? Not about himself. He asked, "My men, are they safe?" Months later, in August 1916, Shackleton finally returned to Elephant Island with a rescue ship. The men rushed to the shore, waving, shouting, crying. And here's the miracle. Every single one of the 28 men was alive. Not one was lost. The Endurance may have been destroyed, but Shackleton's leadership, courage, and unshakable hope turned disaster into legend. Because survival isn't always about strength. Sometimes it's about never letting hope die. This was the story of the Endurance, and you've been watching The Last Breath.